Awesome. Well, hey, Justin, thank you for joining us today. So everyone, my name is Niko Kantouros, and I am the head of our customer success team here at Proformex. Very thankful and lucky to have Justin Nabity with Physician Thrive on our call today and our webinar to give us a little bit of insight in how they went about choosing Proformex as their in-force policy management software, and what they're kind of doing to leverage the product and gain some use and value out of what they're doing. So Justin, welcome, and thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be with you.
Awesome. So I guess, Justin, how we like to start these, first and foremost, is tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you started in the great space of life insurance.
Yeah. So the story started back in 1982. The day I was born, my father was in the industry and his grandfather was in the industry. And so we kind of had this family generation thing going on, and grew up with it, graduated college, and it was the first thing that I did is got involved in the industry. And then it wasn't too long after that we saw a huge need that physicians had for comprehensive advocacy focused type of planning, that we launched our company. And right now as a company, we're big on making sure that physicians, they know their compensation and that they're being treated fairly, that they are protecting it, and that they're making it last. And so clearly life insurance is a major part of that for families, for wealth accumulation, for business planning. And that's kind of in a nutshell how we all got started.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess in part of that, so in the life insurance space, what did you see as far as policy management within the policies that you guys have under physicians? What were you doing to manage those policies and to ensure that they are living up and performing as you guys originally sold them previously to Proformex?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've gone through different iterations, and I'm trying to think back. I think for those who are tuning in, it was like Goldmine was my first interaction with a CRM system. And you may not even know that name because of how old it is.
No.
Have you ever heard of Goldmine before?
I have not. Personally. No, not at all.
So I think it was Goldmine.
My background, by the way, was new to life insurance with Proformex, right? I'm a software guy, so have learned a ton, and there's a lot more to learn. So I appreciate all the input and feedback.
So we had a CRM system. We weren't really using it that well. We, at the time, were with a broker dealer who was trying to help us get better at using technology for our company. We jumped over to Redtail and had that going. And then I think during that time, or somewhere around the transition, as we went from being within my father's practice to launching a new company, we jumped in with Salesforce, and Salesforce was our CRM. And so we got to know the reports and the dashboards and the different systems there. And being that physicians have incomes, and if they get disabled, their income shuts off and they have lots of obligations with student loans, disability insurance was a major focus for us. And so naturally and inherently, there's annual reviews that we would do for their policies for future increase option reasons. As their incomes would grow, the policy would be adjusted. Well, with life insurance, that's not necessarily the case. So we didn't really do a lot initially. We had the systems and we would run reports, but we weren't really doing annual reviews like we were for our disability policies. And we did a ton of those. And so we got to the point where we saw how much opportunity and how well we were servicing our disability block of business, and started to add up and look at how much we had of in-force life insurance business. And it was like, there's more opportunity in our life insurance business, even though it's a fraction of what our disability policy count is, that we've got to find something that can help us go from this manual report and dashboard process within Salesforce to really show us what the opportunity is, kind of have it scream right in front of our face, and so that way we wouldn't miss it. And for it to get us some good intel on what to communicate, because the process for prepping for annual reviews, it can be a lot. It's time intensive. It's cumbersome. And with disability insurance, it's kind of straightforward. What's your policy? What are you making? What's your policy amount? And do you have the ability to increase or not? It might have, if you have
For
benefits
sure.
through work or you don't. Well, term life's pretty straightforward, which we've done a ton of, but like with permanent life, it's a different animal. And so how are we going to, as a part of the wealth planning process, show them here's where we started and here's where we're going and here's how it looks and what the future is projected to be. And so we needed a tool, and Lion Street had been huge for us. They are big proponents, big believers, and our firm's a little bit non-traditional. I mean, most firms tend to be kind of a solo practitioner or a small team sort of thing, and ours is different because we have a larger team and we're growing fast, and we need tools and systems and processes to help us. And so we're probably on the higher end, I think, of an account size, and we're not by any means the highest. I know of we've got friends that have bigger teams than we do that have more policies, but we had to have something where we could get our clients to book with us for annual reviews, and then we could show up and really not have to do any legwork other than have the system on the back end plug things in. And once they did, now I can, while I'm in the meeting, because we have clients all 50 states, licensed every single state, and we have our meetings and we're doing video. We've been doing video for a long time. Like, this pandemic hasn't really affected us at all because we were already built for this. I've been doing everything virtual and have been getting clients conditioned to do that. It was like, okay, well, if I can click on some buttons and boom, I've got my annual review report. Boom, I can show them. I've got the amount of coverage, how long it's going to last, who the beneficiaries are, information about the company, the cash value. I've got everything I need in a single snapshot that I can present to them where they're at and if they need to make a change or consider adding to or making adjustments. And so it's really been kind of a long answer to your question, but it's
awesome. Yeah. Well, it kind of touched on a couple of the questions too.
Okay.
And I think a good thing that as a follow-up question is, and you touched on a few of these, but coming into not just Proformex, but doing the enforced policy management for the life block, like, did you have a couple of goals in mind that you were trying to accomplish? The on-demand reporting, probably one of them, especially in your virtual world of connecting with your clients. Just what goals were you kind of thinking of that you were like, for sure, I need to have this in order for a policy management system to be a success?
I think the one of the biggest things would be for us to be able to visually show a client, here's where we're at in the plan. So are we on target or off target? Are we halfway through the plan or more than halfway? Are we nearing the end of the funding period? Like, I think it's really good because we're, in a sense, this is an intangible, right? This is not real estate. It's easy to think about real estate, but you think about, you're buying a contract, you're buying a promise, you're buying an asset. It does have cash value. It does provide, there's numbers behind it. But I mean, in terms of being able to see it and feel it, this is a way to see where are we at in the timeline, because there's a start and a stopping, an end date to the plan, and whatever plan that you have in place for your client, there's a start and an end date. And where are we at in that continuum? So that way we can make sure that we're talking about it in the context of how it's relevant to life. And so being able to show them something that they can look at and it looks official. It's not just we're not having to go invent that ourselves. We're not just pulling a statement from the insurance company, which usually isn't kind of holistic and comprehensive from a high level view of it, all encompassing into one place. It's got some decent, graphics and aesthetics to it to be able to kind of digest the pieces of it. So
for sure,
I think for us, the main thing was just to be able to show them, here's where we started, here's where we're at, and here's where we're going. And it really does that. And I think, we've done a ton of term business, and you're going to ask me a question, I think, on the list about like, where are we seeing some recent success with this? Well, being able to convert term and being able to show that, we did a 10-year plan, and it was a Band-Aid of a plan. It was something short term, and we knew that it wasn't going to be something to last long, and we're halfway through, like, we should do something now. But rather than waiting until maybe next year and there could be a health event and then we're out of luck, or we only would be able to use the conversion option. And being able to talk about companies and them dropping whole life, like, you can't do whole life anymore. The conversion option from a term product, no whole life anymore. Like, that type of conversation and updates with the companies and carriers has been something that we could do in the conjunction of these annual reviews.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thank you for touching on that, because that is one of the later questions is, how have you been able to gain success with your clients in addition with your book, utilizing the platform? So touching on the term conversions is a big one that a lot of our customers leverage within the platform, as we're collecting that data from the carriers, being able to put that into the platform for you guys to proactively look at when those conversion opportunities are coming due. But outside of term, like, have you had any like replacement opportunity success just in, again, proactively reviewing that information? And if not, you know, like, what are some of the other successes that you you plan on being able to leverage?
Yeah, great question. So we haven't had any real replacement opportunities. I love this idea of being able to have people that have existing contracts out there, to have them plug in and start feeding the data, and then being able to essentially give that account the attention it needs. We haven't done that yet. Our business has been relatively, the demographic has been like 35 to 45 to 50. And so a lot of, as our clients are getting older and their networks, you know, are also that way, their sphere of influence.
Yeah.
That's starting to come a little bit more so that will be the case. And I think about some of our brothers at Lion Street, and how one of them shared how once a policy is sold, it becomes an orphan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Okay.
we think about it, right? It's hits it right the nail on the head, because and Proformex is a way to help address people's policies that it's sold, it's orphaned immediately after it's sold, and now it needs attention. And so you're providing a way to make sure those either policies can stay in the orphan state, or get serviced by somebody who will service them. And so that's really key. We do a lot with accumulation, because our demographic has been a little bit younger, and it's been helpful to be able to talk about in that context. And so I wouldn't say so much from a replacement perspective as it would be a new opportunities. And you think about, you know, we're in this political season. I'm not going to go into politics, but the idea that you think about how genius our politicians were back in the day. They said, let's create a tax code structure where you can save and get a tax deduction now on this much money you're putting away. Like, you can avoid paying this much tax on what you deduct. And then we'll wait until that pile of money becomes this big, and we'll tax this big bucket that you've saved, versus the amount of deferral into your retirement plan that you would have paid tax on here, like, you know, $6,000. You can avoid $6,000 here, so that way they can capture 100% of our income distributed tax, the full amount at the income tax rate. They were genius, because the government has a lifespan that goes beyond ours. They don't need that money right away. So we do a lot of accumulation to help create tax-free income for our clients. And so being able to use this as a tool to track and verify and keep the integrity of our planning process, and for us to be held accountable to continue to do the planning that needs to be done to support one of these tools as a part of the overall picture, is a key aspect of this for us.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great point. And in Proformex, being able to track that data year over year for your clients, so when you do talk to them about how they progressed or how that policy went from originally sold to where it is 10 years later, and having all that backup data, those policy review reports year over year, I'm sure very handy. So that's awesome, and that's exactly, you know, what we intended. So good to hear. So Justin, the other kind of backing up a little bit, you know, you talked about the successes. One thing that is big for new customers coming that we sign up, right? The onboarding experience, getting your block of business. You said that you utilize Salesforce as your CRM. Just can you share anything about, you know, what the experience was with Proformex during that onboarding piece? What you know, and if it was difficult, bumpy, you know, what you recommend to help streamline any type of processes on the customer and on the Proformex side?
So I have a confession, Niko, to tell you that I didn't ask Betsy for that input, because she handled the whole thing for us. I'll just tell you, it took a long time, because, you know, we had probably almost 500 policies, I think, in the initial go around that we were doing. And so it was a lot to get up and running. So I just think that it took a while, and I have to get back to you on specifics on that. So I'm not sure you
No,
can
that's
use
all
that
good.
right
And
now.
actually, and I think that that touches on a good point, right? Like, and this is what, we stress to our customers all the time is that it might take a while to get the data, right? And a lot of our customers, you guys had a CRM. We have some customers that don't, right? They keep it in Excel workbooks and it's spread out all over the place.
Yeah.
We've had people give us actual, papers to get inputted into the platform, right? And as we streamline and get that data into the system, as we did with you guys, right? It takes a little bit to compile and get it in, but once it's in there, it's extremely valuable year over year, and you guys won't have to go through that again, right?
Maybe something that could be useful for anybody who's considering this as a experience share. I would say going back, if I was to do it over again, what I would want to do is talk to somebody who maybe was a similar size of policy count as we were, and talk to them about how they went about doing it and expectations. Because it's one thing to be in my spot, in my shoes, and talk to a technology team and have them talk, kind of work through the details, versus if I were to talk to somebody who just did it themselves, who is in my shoes and is in the industry, to get a feel for it, to kind of talk through a little bit of the logistics. That might be, well, not that everybody would be willing to do that, but maybe if there's people, I would be willing to do that. If there was somebody who was considering it and said, okay, yes, I'm going to go ahead and do it, what should expectations be? Or even if I'm considering it, what should my expectations be if we're going to go ahead and do this, like how to think through it, set expectations, and how to make it as smooth as possible. And, we have an amazing team here. And so we utilize that team for various things. And Betsy and Rita, they tackled this for us, and
they did.
Not to work.
They did, for sure.
We have so much business now that we see every time that we look, and whenever we log in, we look at what's sitting out there. If we do 10%, if we upgrade as we should be, just 10% of our existing policies, it's massive.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to hear, right? And that means it's working, right? The work that we're doing to get the data in, request the information, and provide it back to you guys is working. So that's awesome to hear. And it kind of takes us right into my final question, right? Some things that you're looking forward to within, as you guys continue to grow, as our platform continues to enhance and get built out. What are you guys looking forward to, not only leveraging Proformex for, but also what are you looking forward to us including in the platform to help you guys and to streamline processes even more?
So we did like a little bit of a brain dump as a team recently, and we came up with probably 20 different potential adjustments, tweaks, things like that. And normally when we're very much kind of we have a lot of ideas. We tend to kind of come up with a lot that we can share. And as far as feedback, we're really good at communicating feedback. And normally when we talk to somebody who has a platform, that platform's like, that's this, our platform is like this. If it's outside of this, that's it. The response that we got back from your team was incredible. Like it sounds like everything that we are wanting to adjust and tweak is all doable, whether that's adding an addition here or a label tweak here or things like that with regard to the reports. So not that we can get everything that we want. So this is not like a fully customizable thing, because I'm not even sure what you're communicating to people in that regard at this point. But I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to tweak. And in some cases, it even sounds like maybe people who are even signed up aren't using it to the full extent. I know that we have our phones, and our phones are super mega high powered, and we barely utilize all of the tools within them. And same thing with our computers. And Proformex is kind of that same way. It seems like maybe others are not using it as much as they could be, or as well as they could be. And if they did, the difference it would make. And so I would just maybe encourage those that are considering or that do jump on board that they would understand and know that your team is willing to listen to and wants to be proactive to help out with making enhancements. And it's not like this is a done deal. This is a living sort of a piece of tech that is meant to be used to continue to expand and provide value. And so I really appreciate that about the way you guys responded to the things that we came back with.
That's awesome. For sure. And I'll tell you, that's how Proformex has evolved the product, right? It started out by our founder, building it out to how he leveraged the tools. And the only way we've got to where we are now is by our customer feedback and then driving what they're using, because you guys are the one using it, right? So on a daily basis, taking that feedback, incorporating into our product and development teams, and be able to get it into the product where you guys can leverage it, is what we're striving for and continue to put forward as we continue to make enhancements to the product. So appreciate all that. That was awesome and good to hear that a lot of those came back to you guys to utilize. Awesome. Well, I mean, that's all the questions I had, Justin. I appreciate the time. Look forward to having you guys as a partner for a long time, and excited to see where you guys take the business.